Divers and people who spend a lot of time underwater. What's the creepiest, most unexplainable thing you've seen while in the depths? I'm a commercial diver, and was once on a job cleaning a potable water reservoir. I'd been in other reservoirs before, but this was by far the biggest. At 40 by 80 meters. To get in you had to open a hatch in the ground, the whole reservoir was underground, and climb down a ladder. The hatch was in a corner.
So when you were in the far corner of the reservoir,
it was completely pitch black, and you just have to hope your light doesn't go out. I was about halfway through a 3-hour dive when the batteries in my torch started going flat. I watched the beam get narrower and dimmer until it cut out completely. It's not a huge problem if you lose light, as you can just follow your umbilical back to the hatch. Just as I started walking back,
some obnoxiously loud banging started somewhere in the reservoir.
I was the only diver in there,
so it both confused and scared the shit out of me.
Needless to say, I ran back to the hatch as fast as I could. I ended up getting my torch changed out and doing another hour in the water, but didn't hear the noise again. I still have no idea what it was, but the combination of my torch going out and loud banging coming from somewhere gave me a hell of a fright.
Oh,
his light is going out. I better bang on the ladder so he knows where it is. The best explanation I can think of is that the guys on surface were trying to fuck with me. Definitely wouldn't put it past them. I'm not a believer of supernatural stuff, but the situation definitely freaked me out. Kind of like how you get scared by a horror movie even though you know it's not real. You can dive in man-made lakes and check out what's left of old flooded homes and communities. It's pretty dark and spooky down there no matter what, especially when you think of all the big fish swimming around that are barely silhouettes until they're close. My buddy likes to dive in lakes. He said the creepiest thing, by far, is finding cemeteries 100 feet plus beneath the water in the dark. Eerie quiet. There's a lake around Branson,
Mo, that has something like that.
Always wanted to try that until this thread. It was the town of Oasis. They had residents evacuate when they built Table Rock Dam, but according to local legend, not everyone did. It's about 100 feet down and there supposedly are some monster catfish. I've done a number of dives, and the strangest thing I ever saw was a large deep freezer with a heavy industrial chain wrapped around multiple times with about 5 cinder blocks attached. It was very rusted, and the deep freezer itself had to have been 30 plus years old. Probably more.
This was about 90 feet deep just off
Vancouver Island, Canada. The situation gave myself and the other divers the heebie-jeebies. Logged the GPS and depth coordinates and notified the police. We were able to find out what was inside,
since one of the divers had friends with local police.
10 porcelain dolls. ... Edit, wording and typos. Nice work. You have unleashed them from the watery prison that was protecting us all from their wrath.
Seriously.
This is creepier to me than if it was a body. I dropped my goggles and was trying to reach down in the river and grab it, but I pulled out a sheep skull by its sockets. Wasn't as creepy in hindsight, but 10-year-old me was scared. Would have scared the shit out of me. I am 17. Would 100% still creep me the hell out. I once went diving in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, where it is quite popular to see sharks. We begin diving and we are quite far from the shore. There's a cool-looking structure under us. We swim towards it to get a closer look, and I just start getting this cold feeling running through my body. And that's when a shark appeared and I physically shat myself from fear. When I was a kid swimming in the lake at summer camp, I dove underwater and I swear I saw someone in scuba gear hiding underneath the dock watching us. I told the lifeguard, but he wasn't able to find anyone. I used to do a lot of night dives hunting for lobster off the coast of California. We'd start at 9 or 10 at night, so everything is obviously pitch black besides where we were pointing our lights. Every so often I'd get this unshakable feeling that something big was watching or following me.
Sometimes I could
Quiet that part of my brain and continue with the dive. Other times I couldn't shake the feeling and would end the dive after a few minutes. It's a hard feeling to describe, but I guess I'd compare it to being in a haunted house but 50 feet underwater in complete darkness. My mom used to dive a lot, Florida, Caribbean though. And she told me she used to get the same feeling on night dives sometimes. Not sure if it helps you or not, but she said on multiple occasions it turned out to be a barracuda hanging out over her shoulder using her light to see. Not a diver, but heard from old divers that worked for the Corps of Engineers that there's some huge catfish around the bottom of the dams, like the size of ants. There was a pretty cool show called River Monsters on Animal Planet a while back with a dude that would go around looking for giant fish that ate people. He caught a 5-foot-long 161 pounds catfish in India once.
Best show of all time.
When living off the coast, some buddies and I would take regular fishing trips out to the oil rigs. We would always have some lines out and a few would dive down and try to spear some mangrove snapper or cobia. Once while I and 2 others were diving down checking out the structure, we decided we needed to move due to lack of life around the rig. We all get back in the boat and as one of my buddies is reeling in a line we had a red snapper baited on. An easily 8 to 10 feet tiger shark starts chewing on it right behind the prop.
So close I could have poked his eye out.
The idea that massive animal was in the water so close to me and 2 of my friends but no one saw it is terrifying. I bet he was watching us the whole time. Edit, grammar. Neither creepy nor inexplicable, but once on a night dive I had a seal tag along and take advantage of my flashlight to do some night hunting. It was adorable and the poor fish didn't stand a chance. Also because the sea sausage was completely comfortable and taking advantage of me, they were all up in my business a bunch, which was awkward because as a rule you're not supposed to touch the animals for their safety and yours. In this case I finally decided it was totally okay to push their fat ass when they were in my way. I'll forever call seals a sea sausage because of this. People dive in Flathead Lake near where I live. It is a dark, murky lake. I have seen some large fish, like 5 feet long, around the edges of the lake. Divers have told me the really big fish, around 8 or 10 feet long, are smart and will not approach you too close but will stay floating in the murk, just barely visible as ominous moving shadows. Edit, words, grammar. I once saw someone's escaped pet iguana swimming underwater at my local lake as a kid that scared the shit out of me. Does that count?